Hi guys, it's Miss Paraso. Alright, this lesson is about mean absolute deviation. For this lesson, you're going to need your calculator. You may want your vocabulary sheet to refer to, because I will reference this. And you're also going to need the handout from your substitute that was attached to your letter that you got. Okay? If you don't have one of these items, they're all available for you on OneNote. Okay? All right, so what is mean absolute deviation? All right, well, we already know what mean is. It means the average. And it still means the average. Okay? Absolute, we're going to see how that comes into play in the thing. Deviation means distance from. So mean means average, and deviation means distance. So we're trying to look for the average distance our data is from the actual average that we find. Okay, so it's kind of like we're doing a double average in a way. So it's the average distance between each data value and the mean. So our first step is we're going to be finding the mean. We want to find the average of the given data. And then we're going to compare that average to each data point. And then we're going to come up with another average. So basically, on average, how far away is each data from the actual average? Okay? And the way that it works, what this tells us is that when we have a value that's closer to 0, okay, that means that our data is pretty consistent. It means that our data is closer together. If I were to graph it on a number line, most of my points would be close to one another. Okay? So here in our example from the plant, remember the example, that was our data. So this was the data here. So we're going to find the average. Well, we did that up here in the first one. We found that the average was 12. So that was our first step. So the average plant height was 12. Well, we want to see, well, what's the average that these deviate, that the data deviates from the average? Okay? So how far off are they on average? So you're going to find the difference, which is the deviation. So how far away is each data from the average? Okay, so 10 minus 12, well, that's negative 2. But we just want to find distance. And remember, distance is always positive. So we're taking the absolute value. So this AV right here stands for absolute value. Again, when you're finding how far away something is, which is your deviation, your distance, it's always going to be positive. So 11 minus 12, okay, because it was 11 and our average was 12, so it was 1 away, 0 away, etc., etc. So these are how far off our data values are from the average. Well, we want to find, well, what's the average of that? What's the average of that distance? So we're going to add up these numbers and divide by how many numbers they are, and that's where we get the MAD. So what does that mean? It means the plants vary in height by an average of 1 inch. So we're kind of seeing how much do they vary. Okay, again, this is really testing to see how reliable our data. And this is a good number because we're close to 0. 1 is close to 0. So that's some pretty accurate data. All right, so let's go ahead and do some practice problems together. Okay. If you need any assistance along the way, you can pause this video. I encourage you to pause so that way you can keep up, rewind and replay if you don't understand something. There's also a link here that will that you can go to for another video that also walks you through some practice problems. Okay? All of our steps are right here. You can also refer to the steps on your pink cheat sheet as well. Okay? Now, it is important that we kind of want to get into a groove, and you do need to memorize these steps when it comes time for the quiz or the test. All right? So make sure you have your calculator handy. All right, so step 1 says to find the mean, the average of the data values. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So step 1, 79 plus 78. Again, you want to make sure that you are showing your work. Okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just making sure that I didn't leave off one. So 79 plus 78 plus 74, and there's two 77s. Okay, and remember, I forgot to divide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's 5 pieces of data. Add that up, I get 385 divided by 5. So I'm going to do that on my calculator. And I get that my average, or my mean, and I'm going to label it, is 77. Okay, but that's not what I'm finding. I'm finding the mean absolute deviation. So that's the average. So now I have to find the difference between each data value and the mean. So 79 minus 77, 78 minus 77, 74 minus 77, 77 minus 77, and 77 minus 77. Okay, and I want the positive form. So 2, 78 minus 77, 1, 74 minus 77. Well, that's negative 3, but I'm just going to write positive 3 because I want the absolute value of it. So 2, 1, 3, 0, and 0. Okay, so that was we kind of merged step 2 and step 3 together. So this is let's label those. This was step 2 and 3. Okay, so again, I found the average, and then I took each of the original data points, and I subtracted the average from it, but I took the absolute value. So basically, if it's negative, just drop the negative. All right, now I need to find the average of these numbers. So this is step 4. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 0 plus 0. Now, obviously, you don't have to enter that into your calculator because we had 0. It doesn't matter. But we do need to count them because they are data points. So we still need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still need to divide by 5. Okay, so 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6. So I get 6 over 5. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and do 6 divided by 5 in my calculator. All right, and I get 1.2. And that is my mean absolute deviation. So my mean absolute deviation is 1.2. So on average, my data is 1.2 away from my average. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and do number 2 together. All right, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. All right, now step 1, find the average. Got it. 6 plus 7 plus 12 plus 15 plus 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divided by 5. All right. Okay, I got 45 divided by 5. So my average, it's always good to label your numbers anytime you find them. So that way if you lose track of what you're doing, you can always go back to them. All right, step 2 and 3, we're going to find the difference. So refer back. So 6 minus 9 is negative 3, but we're going to take the absolute value of it. 7 minus 9 is negative 2, but again, take the absolute value of it. 12 minus 9 is 3. 15 minus 9 is 6. And we have 5 minus 9 is negative 4, but again, take the absolute value of it. So those are our distances right there. Now, step 4, find the average. So 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 6 plus 4. So again, count till you got them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I get 5 plus 9 is 14. Plus 4 more is 18. So I have 18 divided by 5. Go ahead and put that into your calculator. And you get 3.6. A little bit higher. Again, the further you get from 0, the less consistent your data is. Okay? So that's what we use the MAD for. Alright? So what I'd like you to do right now that we've done 2 together, is I want you to go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try number 3 on your own. Okay? So let's go ahead and pause. Oops, sorry about that. Cut myself off there. So again, pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and pause mine and do the first step. When you're ready, if you want to just check to see if you're doing step by step the right thing, press play. Okay? So go ahead and start with your first step. All right. How'd you do? Step 1, you should have gotten that the average was 12. Okay? Pause the video and go ahead and do step 2 and 3. Find the difference between each data value, but take the absolute value of it. Okay, how did you do? You should have had 2, 1, 5, 6, and 8. All right, you ready for your final step? Find the average of those differences. Pause the video and check back in. Okay, final step was to find the average of those distances. You should have gotten, when you add them up, 22 over 5, which is 4.4. So the mean absolute deviation is 4.4. Okay? All right. Now it's time. I want you to go through all 4 steps on your own with number 4 and then check back in. So go ahead and pause the video, and when you've completed and found the MAD for this, go ahead and hit play to see how you did. All right. Check to see how you did. You should have gotten a MAD of 5. The average was 16. You had to find the distance between each data, 6, 4, 4, 1, 4, and 11. And then you needed to find the average of those differences. You should have gotten 30 divided by 6 and gotten 5. All right, so that's it. It's a long process. I'm not going to lie. It is kind of a doozy, right? But you've just got a few to try on your own at this time, okay? So I would like you to go ahead and complete numbers 5 through 10 on your paper, okay? Again, going through those steps, if you need to review the video at any time, please feel free to do so. I will be checking to see your work tomorrow in class for part of your homework grade. So if you feel like this is not enough room to show your work, by all means go get a separate sheet of notebook paper and show all your beautiful math work there. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Remember to be awesome.